Captain's Log, Day 1 of the final battle for Satravan City. After finishing our separate business, myself on Ryloth, Marcus and Chiron on Hanagar, and Gar apparently on Faline, my crew headed out from Naboo to Lexrule. Truth be told, I probably could have spent a couple more weeks at the winery if matters weren't so time-sensitive and so pressing. But I think that time did us all some good. Even Marcus seems like he's back to his old self. We arrived at the Rebel base on Satravan City to a ceremony being performed in honor of those who gave their lives to retrieve the information from the ISB bunker. I don't think I'll ever be able to express my gratitude for what they did, what they gave that day. I keep hearing repeated over and over that we have to do everything we can, everything we must, no matter what the cost for the cause. But I don't know if I'm quite ready to risk it all yet, or risk the lives of those I care about. I informed Rebel Command about Eric's warning that Captain Wayland has become far more dangerous than any of us previously expected. He's got powers that we don't yet understand, and he's been building an army of literal death troopers, men raised from the dead to serve in the battle ahead. And Eric is also now on his own personal mission to take down Wayland and the one who created him. What that means, I don't know. He warned us to please not interfere and to not go after Wayland. I discussed with Commander Thawne about Chaos Squad rescuing Ono Seer on our own, but unfortunately he is determined to accompany us. We were also given our own mission. We needed to infiltrate an Imperial party celebrating the recent acquisition of Meridian Mining Corps with a defected Imperial scientist to extract some highly refined Meridite and get some information and some Imperials if we really felt like it. I was able to get into the party with Marcus and Gar, and then I met up with Chiron to extract the Meridite, take down any troopers that were in our way. I never want to fight in a dress again. While Chiron and I dealt with that, were able to extract the Meridite and had an unfortunate close call with a couple of those previously mentioned death troopers, Gar and Marcus hobnobbed among the Imperials, took out the security system with some Lando Calrissian. And Marcus was able to charm the Chief Operating Officer, or should I say the former COO of Meridian Mining Corps, and was able to take him out. From what I saw, he was leaving his bedroom. But we returned to the base to a frightening sight. Imperial ships have started arriving. The reinforcements are coming, and it's going to make the battle ahead that much harder. I've been put in a lot of tricky situations over the years, and I've kept my faith for all of them. But I cannot help but feel uncertain of our future or our fates. Preparations are being made for the rescue and for the battle ahead. I've been making my own preparations too. And I don't know what the future holds, but I am certain of one thing. The Chaos Squad is going to have to face Wayland again. And we're going to have to face him on our own.
The scene opens inside a meditation chamber. Taurus Wayland sits kneeling, eyes closed in deep meditation. As he begins, the room is brightly lit. But as he concentrates and goes deeper and deeper into the dark side, the room dims, becomes darker and darker until it's entirely encased in darkness, save a single solitary spotlight shining on Taurus. A holographic image projects, fills up the room gigantically. Old man, dark robes, withered, pale white skin. Emperor Palpatine can be seen. Cyrus Wayland, I have heard wonderful things about you. I've reviewed your service record, and you've done a great service to your Emperor. On Carsine, and more recently, in reacquiring Meridian Mining Corp and the precious Meridite. We need to stomp out this pathetic little rebellion against us. Lord Vader has also spoken to me personally of your skill, how your powers have grown, how your ambitions have grown. I am impressed. Long ago, when we first rose to power, we, within the Order of the Sith, had certain people to aid us in seeking out and destroying the Jedi Order, quenching that flame and extinguishing it from the galaxy. These people were called Inquisitors. Once the fire was out, there seemed to be no longer a need for the Inquisitors, so they were disbanded. However, like any fire that wasn't put out properly, embers still burn. Force healers have begun popping up in the galaxy. Jedi have been rumored to return. And I see the need to reestablish the Inquisitors. Congratulations, Wayland. You will be the first. Thank you, my lord. Manning Sanders. Not only was the Inquisitor's job to seek out and destroy the Jedi Order, but it was also to root out corruption within the Empire itself. To find those who smiled in our face and would stab us in the back. Those who would work with the pathetic little rebellion against us and aid them. To seek out traitors in our midst, expose them, punish them, and bring them Sith justice. I have a name of one who fits this criteria. A young woman, proud woman, one might even say a noble woman. You no doubt have heard of Captain Medina. Wayland's jaw clenches and hate burns in his eyes. I know her, my lord. Oh, good, I sense your hatred. It will serve you well in this matter. Recently, she appeared on Ryloth and abducted 2 upstanding citizens of the Empire, her parents, and squirreled them away to parts unknown. I suspect she had aid in this. Aid from someone close. Someone within the Empire helped her. I believe it was her sister, Gida. So travel to Ryloth all expediency, Wayland. Find Gita. Use your new powers to question her and bring the truth from her. And if she indeed colluded with her sister, mete out Sith justice upon her. And if she didn't, well, I understand you have a new Death Trooper project. Maybe she would be a candidate. She might not. She might not. Good. My lord, I know of the Battle of Satravan City is looming quickly upon us. But I assure you it will not take place until you return on the planet. Now go, Inquisitor Wayland. Do my bidding. Find the truth. But you must. Yes, ma'am. Oh, Wayland, this is the beginning of a bright and glorious future.
Alright, when last we left Chaos Squad, you all successfully infiltrated the Imperial Party at COO Whistler's residence, the COO of Meridian Mining Corp. It was an Imperial gala celebrating Meridian Mining Corp's fold back into the Empire, along with several other things, including they had a breakthrough at Meridian Mining Corp thanks to the efforts of now Commander Taurus Wayland, who found a way to refine it to make it even potentially more deadly than what it was. They were planning on showing it off and giving some form of demonstration, but just really that. And Chaos Squad not only infiltrated the party, were able to secure, with the help of a scientist, a sample of the Meridite, but also that they were able to assassinate COO Whistler. I know I didn't really need to do this recap because we have both a crawl and a captain's log to do that, but since you guys haven't seen those things right now, and Jake, by the way, give yourself 5 extra experience for repping the team. So when we do that, remind yourself you got a 5-point bonus for the Twin Tail.
Boom!
Boom. So, and as you guys made your escape with help of your employer, Garm Bel Iblis, and made your way back to the Rebels' secret hidden base within the confines of the ruins in Satravan City, the sky turned red as literally hundreds of drop ships broke through the atmosphere, bringing thousands and thousands of troops to help reinforce the Empire. It was about 2:33 in the morning by the time you guys got back, and the squad was just absolutely in a state of exhaustion. Is there anything you guys would like to handle back at the Rebel base before sacking out for the evening?
I don't think so.
I would just give a report and then go bed.
Okay. They basically say they'll bring you in for debriefing in the morning. That don't worry about the report right now. Get rested and all that. When Chaos Squad arises, who would like to be the first member of Chaos Squad up and about?
That'd probably be Nadina.
Okay.
Not Gar.
Not Gar. And
Gar truly is you.
And what time is that? Again, keeping in mind you got in somewhere 2:30, and probably by the time you went to check in, they said we'll figure it out in the morning. It was about 3 a.m. before you're probably able to hit the rack.
I'd say about like 9:30 then.
Okay. At 9:30, you make your way out, and similar to when you first arrived here, there aren't a lot of people to be seen, which is unusual. As you wander around, you ultimately find them. There's a launching tube where you guys can go out from the underground and up to break through the surface where the Rebel ships basically launch from. The hangar bay doors are open, and there's a large crowd of Rebels standing, looking at the sky. The sky is still red. More and more ships continue to burn their way into the atmosphere. You have no idea what's going on in space. You have no idea how many Imperial ships must have arrived. But you know it's not a small amount based on what's being dropped and brought down to the planet. There's not saying necessarily they stay there, but literally troops have been dropping through the night. And as Nadina looks around, a thought begins to sink in. Sure, there's some professional soldiers here in the mix. There are people who've been serving in the military in one form or another, a better part of their life. You can tell them the way they witness this, it's with a soldier's eye looking at the oncoming battle. But the bulk of Sarek's forces are civilians who defected to the rebellion for one reason or the other, whether it's they lost someone, whether they just couldn't stand things being wrong. And while they're eager to fight and eager their help, they're not trained soldiers. And you think about what's on the other side, what's waiting for them. The Imperial soldiers that are there, they're trained to deal with situations like this. They've been working at it, and they've already may have been doing it all along. The odds are looking more and more grim for Sarek.
Not even Sarek is the commanding officer is not even really military trained.
Nadina, as you look, excuse me, Captain Nadina?
I turn around.
You turn around, and I don't know if you've ever seen one of these for sure in your life. You've at least heard of them before. A Mon Calamari stance.
Sorry.
Don't get so excited. I did the voice. It's not him. I know I do a lot of guest stars. This is not one.
That was a good voice though, because I just typed. Is this an Akbar voice right before you said?
Well, it is based on an Akbar voice. So thank you. All right.
Sorry.
Hello, my name is Captain Akmek Chan. I've been sent here from not only the planet Mon Cal, but my city Mon Cal. We've been studying how to make a rebellion. It's been quite fruitful. I was told by Sarek Thon that you were once an Imperial who have defected and come to see the other side. I was wondering if I could, at some point later before this all begins, pick your brain some. I'd like to know what made you cross, and more importantly, if there's anything we might know about them that might aid in our defense.
Absolutely. Certainly. She sticks her hand out to shake it. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you. I hear you have a briefing later today. Good luck with that.
Yes.
Good luck. And beyond that, I think it goes without saying, I think Commander Thawne thinks quite highly of you. And he sort of smiles and kind of nods his head. And
I've known him since I was a child.
It's very good. Well, I look forward to speaking with you later about such matters.
Of course. I look forward to hearing any insights you might have, especially with this upcoming battle. And she just kind of waves towards the sky.
There's not enough water. Too much dirt and fire for me, but it's a little different than what I'm used to, but we can still try to get this done. And he turns and continues to make his way through a crowd, and he's speaking with various people. You haven't seen him before. And with
what's this guy's name again?
His name is Akmek, Akmik, Chan, Chun.
That's the same last name. Like I'm just pulling from my own. Like Nadina might not know this, but like I would. That Captain Lee Chan. Sorry, not Captain Lee Chan. King Lee Chan. No.
It could possibly be if somebody sent to find out about a rebellion. Okay, who is my next Chaos Squad member up and around and sort of making their way about the premises?
Gar is making coffee.
Gar is making coffee.
which just canonically exist in the Star Wars
And that's
universe.
absolutely fine. I have no issue with coffee. Of course, coffee exists in the Star. Why wouldn't coffee exist in the Star Wars universe? As you're waiting, there's a human man. He's kind of slender. Um, Hair very similar to yours, actually, Jake. But short cropped military buzz cut. This guy is a soldier, and everything about him carries it.
Mhm.
He has a sergeant's rank, and with a sergeant's rank, he is, he's a non-commissioned officer. That he's clearly someone who must have done service somewhere, whether it's with the rebellion or somewhere else. He's got thicker kind of Coke bottle-y glasses, which is not all that commonplace in the Star Wars universe. Most people have some sort of surgery, but for whatever reason, he is not. He has a wedding ring that's really unusually sized and almost looks in some ways kind of comical, like it's too big almost for his hand, but like almost as if his wife put it on his finger to say there will be no mistaking you're a married man. So don't even think about anything otherwise. And he waits with an empty cup and is tapping the ring against it. And it's not impatient. He's not like rushing you. He probably doesn't even realize that he's doing it. And he's waiting very much his eager turn. Like you, this man probably needs it in a very desperate way and is just ticking until he gets it. Excuse me. Couldn't help but notice. You're Gar, right? With Chaos Squad?
Yes, sir, I am.
Hey, I'm Sergeant Grinsby. I'm the acting communications chief here.
Obliged to meet you, Grimsby.
Nice to meet you. I heard a little bit about you. I was wondering that here you've got a really nasty little weapon going on. I'm kind of a collector myself. Soldier of Fortune, that kind of thing. Could I see that? Would you mind?
Gar, literally always ready to show off. Would probably pull it out and flip it a little bit and turn it around and hand it to him.
He takes it and completely, he's not handling like trigger method. He's like literally holding it two-handed, looking at it, and then flips it over and kind of looks at the other side. This is pretty fascinating. That's not from this side of the galaxy, you realize. This was made somewhere else.
He's got the disruptor pistol, right?
Yeah. That's what he's
Heard
asking.
Heard it used to be Chiss.
Huh. I don't know too much about them, but given the curves and as opposed to the straight lines, wouldn't be shocked by that. It's kind of consistent with some of their other weapons. Oh, sorry. Here, and he hands it back to you. Heard that thing really is capable of rending some stuff, that it eats through rips and keeps going.
Indeed.
Huh. Well, yeah, if ever you want to stop by the comm shop, I got most of my stuff on display. You're welcome to come down and take a look, and I'd love to show you some of what I got. And
I might just well do that.
And yeah, if you need anything, while you're here, I can put in a word for you. So.
Well, thank you.
Can I just ask you one thing?
You're muted.
Oh.
No, I heard him.
Oh, okay.
What do you need?
Katie was talking.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, no. I was just making a comment to myself.
I gotcha. I need you to move about 2 feet to the right so I can get the coffee machine.
I suppose that's not too much. Then he just kind of walks off.
All right. He goes and takes and pours and sort of gives you a raised glass toast and goes from there. My next Chaos Squad member up and moving and
And Marcus and Chiron spend the entire day in bed.
there we go.
I'll be next.
Chiron, by the time you get up, most of the crowd that I've described have dispersed. At least for a while, the red skies have ceased. Imperial troops are kind of where they are. As they make their way around, Adoros comes looking for you. Oh, I know who you are. You're Chiron Visla. I am Hula Vukto. I am one of the command strategists in charge of setting the upcoming battle. I was told that when Chaos God is up and roused after they had a long night, that we would like to talk to them about what's transpired during the course of the evening. Would you please let your team know to come to Ops whenever you've had a chance to get together and talk?
Yeah, I will. I was going to go there anyway first.
Fantastic. Oh, that's great. Well, if you wish to go, well, if you want to find them first, if you wish to just come now, I'm sure other people will seek them out too. It's just, how many Mandalorians do you see randomly walking around the base? The answer is not a lot, I am guessing.
And I take out my communicator and key up the rest of the squad. And I'm just like, I'm headed to Ops. And then I just turn it off.
Okay.
Nadina responds with an almost sarcastic Roger.
There you go. Inside stuff. So Hulu says, so if I can ask, for a man who's grown up most of his life being trained for warfare, being trained for this, I'll be honest, I am fairly new to this myself. How do you prepare for such things? How do you gear yourself up for the upcoming battle? Because when I think about the odds on the other side, I'll be honest, I'm frightened. I will do what I must, don't get me wrong. Hula Vukto is no coward by any stretch of the imagination. But, it is intimidating to think about what's on the other side.
I say, fear is not a weakness. So, I go into every battle expecting to die. So I have no expectations of what's going to happen, other than I'm going to take some with me before I go.
We'll take some with us, my friend. We'll take some with us. And you guys turn and you reach Ops. When the door opens to Ops, there is a Mon Calamari there, who Nadina had a pleasure of speaking with earlier. Sarek is there. Hula steps in. There's a Captain Greyheck, who you haven't met before. Human man, older, gray mustache, Gray Van Dyke, similar to your host and GM. He looks very concerned. He has his hand over his mouth, and they're looking at sort of a hologram of the Imperial Quarter. You're taking this as what must be a live sort of surveillance of the area, and you literally see these troops trying to be organized, thousands of them, of orders being out, them being deployed to various areas, and the troops activating and starting to run, starting to move out. And Chiron, just the same as Nadina, the thoughts are starting to sink in a little bit. This is a militia, more than it is really a full-on fledged organized rebellion for the most part. Most of these people are people who lived here, who had enough or had reason to join or something like that, and now find themselves standing on the other side of the Empire. Your amount of trained soldiers, your amount of people who could really fight, the odds are looking stacked. Now, that's never stopped you before, never been a worry for you before. So what's going through Chiron's head as you are sort of drinking in, this is a way larger force than was here 24 hours ago.
So it's just this part of the city?
Yeah, this is just the Imperial Quarter, yeah, where they've all been landing.
Okay, I kind of go over and not really push the operator out of the way, but I work some controls and the quarter gets bigger so I can see the entire city.
Okay.
And as I'm looking at it, I turn to somebody and I go, how many civilians are still left in the quarter and in the city?
They haven't done the census in a little while, but we're guessing there's probably, in the Imperial Quarter, there's probably no civilians left. I'm guessing they've probably all been driven out at this point. There weren't that many there to begin with, and it would normally be just people going to work. But since they've placed the whole city under martial law, that's even been limited. And if there are civilians there, we don't know about them. They've been staying in the quarter, living in the quarter, and they've been in that. Gosh. Probably in a neighborhood of, I would say, about 400,000 or 500,000 civilians in the remaining 2 quarters, not counting the ruins, which really is impossible for us to know.
That's going to be difficult. I would make a suggestion that you try to get them out under cover of darkness tonight, if possible. Ask for volunteers to stay to keep the illusion that there's still people around, knowing full well that they might die. But we need to get as many civilians out of here as we can.
Sarek steps up. That's not a bad idea. Captain Greyheck. Yeah, sir. Let's see what we can't do to try and organize something. I know there's a lockdown. I know that Imperial patrols are what they are, but I don't know. Maybe we can do something. Maybe we can hit something. Give the Imperial something to think about, at least draw their attention, and then while this is going on, try to get some of the Imperial civilians. Let me think on it for a bit, Gar. Let me think on it a bit, Chiron. You guys are becoming so interchangeable now. Chiron, let me think on it for a little bit. I think maybe us doing something to help prompt that, to at least get them looking at the quarter. Maybe we can, I don't know, try to do some sort of precision strike inside to just cause some chaos and give them something to deal with while people try to get out and go.
Well,
and again, I go and work some controls, and now the Imperial Quarter kind of blows up.
Okay.
To one of the main thoroughfares. And I point to it and I said, set explosives within this block, and I section off a little block. So that will get their attention and give them something to worry about while we try to get these civilians out.
but how can we be sure, Nadine coming in at this point, that these civilians are going to be willing to come with us? The rebellion, for all we know, they could be loyal to the Empire as well.
Sarek steps back. He sort of strokes his chin.
You know this planet better than I do, Commander Thawne. What's your take?
And he smiles visibly under his hand at Commander Thawne. I would suggest that I think we try to have 3 things going on at once. I like the idea of the explosives, Chiron, and I can round up a qualified team here who can handle that. At the same time that's going on, I'm sure you've all heard by now, we've pinpointed the location of Onosir. I would like the Chaos Squad to head up the hopeful potential extraction of him. If we time it with the explosives, where the explosives go 1, Chaos Squad goes 1A, makes entry, while the Imperials have something that they're forced to deal with. And then we can start the strategy of trying to get civilians out. And to answer your question, how to go about it, there's only 2 people, maybe 3, and he looks dead at Nadine and he looks at Chiron, who the civilians know are not tied to the Empire, who are sworn enemies. If you 2 guys are occupied, I'll help lead the mission to get civilians away from here. They know at least I don't think any of the civilians left in town like the Empire. Unless they're on their payroll. And to be honest, those aren't people I'm concerned about getting out anyway.
Is there a planet-wide like communications broadcast capabilities from our bunker?
Not from the bunker, but we could certainly hack into the system. And has Marcus appeared?
No, not yet.
I say
I'm planning-
Marcus is still sleeping as far as, or meditating at least as far as I know right now. But yeah, no. They would be able to maybe try to hack into the Imperial broadcasting, for lack of a better term, to try to get that done, but that's what it would take. They don't really possess the capability here, but they do possess the capability to try to hack in from here.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
There's just one little problem as I can see. And all eyes turn to the door. A tall, muscular Corellian man,
Mm-hmm.
black hair, streaked with gray, steps in and smiles. Sarah kind of smiles. And Senator Bellibus, what would that problem be? No one talked to me about this first. And he just sort of smiles, and there's some loose chuckling around the room. I think it's a great idea. And Sarek, if you don't think it would hurt things too much, I'd happily assist either with Chaos Squad accomplishing its goal or with you accomplishing yours. Doesn't matter to me. I think getting people out of harm's way is a good thing. Anyone who wants to go should be provided an opportunity to go. Don't worry, it wouldn't be me going. It would be the Knave of Staves going, complete with costume accordingly. But I think I could serve in that way.
Well, that's probably the best time for me to enter.
Okay.
So Marcus has been in the garden all night,
Oh, wow.
basically.
Okay.
All night.
And so literally just trying to free himself, I guess, is the best way of the events that happened the night before, where he's been pondering the concept of, is what he did appropriate? Right? It's a difficult question. There's on one side, there's the person Marcus has been, where assassination was absolutely a tactic. Right? There was nothing wrong on the battlefield with dealing with someone like Whistler. But now what he's dealing with is revenge an appropriate problem? I mean, is it appropriate outcome? And he still hasn't quite resolved that. And so as he walks into the room very, very nonchalantly, he tosses his Knave of Staves card at Belliblus's feet and says, "You can keep that from now on," and walks past him. No need. My decision's been made.
Hey, we can't hear you, Jason.
I'm sorry. So Garm had said we'll talk later. That's what Greg responded with the no need
Mhm.
and all that. So Garm picks up the card and looks at it, kind of sighs and tucks it into his coat. Well, seems we're all in accord.
Nadina, kind of taken aback by what just happened, says it appears that way. Yes.
So the squad formerly known as Chaos Squad will enter in to go get Onosir. We'll have a rebel strike team find a way to somehow try to infiltrate the Imperial Quarter and plant explosives. Explosives go 1. Chaos Squad goes, well, the squad formerly known as Chaos Squad goes 2. and then the remainder of us will do our best to try and clear Upper and Lower Meridian of civilians. And that will happen tonight, Sarek says. Late tonight. Undercover in Darkness will probably be the best chance for the Imperial, or for the Rebel infiltration team to get in. I think I have a squad in mind for that. Chaos Squad goes. So all we need to do is find a way to get word to the general populace and let them know now's the time.
So from the back of the room, standing next to the rest of the squad, I have a plan for that.
What would
I
that
just
be?
need access to the planet-wide communication system. I kind of look at Sarek. I remember our time at the bar. I remember the kid. Well, seems like a lifetime ago. It's only been a few months. We helped you. This will be me continuing to help you. I need access to that communications platform.
You did.
I think I can make that happen. And with that, all of a sudden, the display of the surveillance goes down. What happened? Sergeant Grinsby is in this meeting. He starts frantically working on some stuff. Imperials have shut it all down.
Shut what all down?
Communications to the entire planet. No holonet. And you go to try to click even your comm links to make them work, and inability. They're completely scrambled. Well, if you'll excuse me, Captain Greyheck, would you accompany me, sir? I know you have expertise in this area as well. Oh, yes, absolutely. Pardon us, and the two of them turn. We're going to be locked away for a while. You guys figure this out. We'll see what we can do. And Sarek looks I don't want to say rattled by it. It's not the right term. Concerned, maybe a strong concerned look is on his face. He kind of I contacted Imperial High Command advising him of what's been happening here, but I hadn't received a response from him yet.
You mean Rebel High Command?
Yes, God, Imperial High Command. Yes, Rebel High Command. Yes.
I just
I
panicked.
told you, yeah. I've really been a secret Imperial traitor all along.
God.
Yeah. Anyway, Sarek, respond. I contacted Rebel High Command. I sent them word, but they hadn't responded yet. If there's no communications, they're not able to get a hold of us. The good news is they're coming quick. The bad news, though, they may think something's already happened here. And that's a concern.
Well, they were there right when we needed them in the battle for Zorn.
Here's hoping they will be again.
I hope so. Senator Belidlis, is there any way you'd still be able to reach out to them?
Not on planet. If the whole planet shut down, if I were able to get off the planet, but right now, given the number of ships we at least think were there at the time, it'd be more than difficult to get anybody off an atmosphere without it being tricky. But I can see what I can do.
You know? And she kind of gives a smirk looking over at Sarek. There was once a time I rejoiced at seeing Imperial ships coming in. It was almost like a game. And now to see so many... My squad's been in tough situations before. But where I wonder... I don't want to abandon this planet, but what I guess would be the cue that it's time for us to walk away.
At this point, retreat is not an option. That
Always
ship
shoot
sailed.
our way out.
No, you don't shoot your way out of an entire Imperial fleet blockade, planetary blockade, where they've shut down 100% of the communication. You wouldn't even get out of the atmosphere. The time is now. The time is now to fight.
Sarek looks over at Marcus. The fight's been long overdue. I'll be honest. I'm not exactly confident about our odds against a force like this at the moment. However...
Hey, come on. Never tell me the odds.
There we go. However, we have some very skilled people here. And while there's a communications blackout, I have confidence that communication teams will at least be able to do something. I don't know what yet. Whether it's for us in our mission and our operation, whether it's being able to talk to other people, I'm not sure. All right, well, I think we at least have a plan for tomorrow night. And then depending on how tomorrow or tonight go, for later tonight. Depending how later tonight goes, I think that will dictate what our next steps are, and we'll know a little better of where we stand. Because we have different options to us if civilians are able to evacuate. And if our rebel friends are coming, they have different options with, say, an empty city that's predominantly just peopled by Imperials, with us here in the ruins, then if there's 500,000 civilian casualties, potential civilian casualties running around the city up there. One step at a time. It's the way we've done this whole rebellion. One step at a time, one brick at a time, all the way to freedom. We can do this. We just have to go one step at a time. So I will accompany Senator Bel-Iblis, and we'll start formulating a plan for when we're able to get communications back, because we will get communications back at some point, on what to do to how to best try to evacuate civilians. Chaos Squad, there's somebody we'd like you guys to talk to, and then you can begin to formulate your plan on how to retrieve our friend Onosir.
Is this when the betrayal happens and Vader walks in?
I've altered the deal. Pray I don't alter it further. And I'll organize the crit squad and tell them they get to play with explosives again. I'm sure Shay's gonna love that.
Boo, 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 boo.
Are you sure those two girls are ready to head out? They seemed pretty shaken.
I haven't been of service of longest time yet. When I got hurt, one of the motivating factors for me was being able to get back out and to make a difference again. I'll talk to them. If I don't feel they're up to it, of course I'm not going to send them. But they may just be looking for an opportunity. A chance to get right back up on that horse and get out there and make a difference. And this could be a big difference maker. They're good. And they know it. Those Maryland sisters. Plus, I may have some other people who they don't know about yet who, and he smiles, might make a difference in that. All right. Everybody, let's convene back here at 1500. That's 3 o'clock to you civilian folks, but most everybody knows 1500. And we can sort of go over a little bit of what we've come up with. Chaos Squad, why don't you take a stroll down towards the detention block? There's a cell AA97. Somebody in there we'd like you to talk to.
Gar's on his way. He's like making fun of a prisoner. Yep. Boom! I'm in.
Last time I talked to an Imperial prisoner, it didn't exactly go so well.
Yeah, but he's not exactly a prisoner. He's a defector.
What are you not telling me?
Ought to be Gar's brother.
He's a defector, and we're trying to suss him out. So he's staying in the detention block for now until we get some things figured. But he's got a bit of information.
Please be Han Solo. Please be Han Solo. Please be Han Solo. Please be Han Solo. Please be Han Solo.
All right. Well, we'll head there now. Commander, I'd like to have a word with you at some point, and Senator Bel-Iblis, you as well.
Of course.
With that, I kind of side-eye her as I walk out to the detention block.
What kind of side-eye? Like the fact that she was like, I'd like to speak to Sarek, or the fact that I'd like to speak to Bel-Iblis?
To Bel-Iblis, a little side-eye as I almost sneer as I walk by.
For undercutting me. Okay. So Garm and Sarek are going to sort of stay put here. They're they begin sort of talking about, all right, and they begin sort of crafting the message that's going to be broadcast to everyone, and they're trying to figure out what to say and all that.
And I guess as we're walking out, and once we get out of earshot of them, I turn to Marcus and I go, "What was that?"
Being back and realizing that Garm was willing to sacrifice us, and having to reflect on my actions of last night. I don't like that person. I don't like, while death happens, while tension happens, while combat happens, he is not the type of person I choose to align myself with anymore. It's as simple as that. His ends do not justify our means.
I know, and I understand. I feel pretty much the same, but that was a decision I would hope we were going to make as a team.
You're absolutely able to make that choice, whatever choice you feel comfortable with. My choice has no reflection on your choice.
But
You
it
can
does,
choose to
Marcus.
serve him. No, but it really doesn't. You can absolutely choose to serve him and align yourself with him, and that has nothing to do with us. My choice isn't the team's choice. My choice is my choice.
I know, but
I just won't be working I just won't be working for Garm.
you're all too important for me to see the squad split up.
Me not
One of
working
us
for
will.
Garm has nothing. No, me not working for Garm has nothing to do with us working together.
I'm not sure how, but at any rate,
Well, just as I completely appreciated your choices with Boba Fett, or I mean with Jabba, right? I still made my choices. You made your choices. And Marcus, kind of smirks at you as thoughts of the things that you had to do while you were away.
you probably found out about what happened on Ryloth.
No, and not at all. And that's between you and your choices. That's the point to this. We all have to make those choices. And after the last 24 hours, I realized that Garm is on a revenge path. That never leads to the right choices. He's trying to revenge, not avenge, his family. And whether he wants to admit it or not, he's on the wrong side of his emotions.
You're right. I mean, I've never felt the need to get revenge against Wayland. What I want is to get Ono out. And I want to dispose of Wayland, but not necessarily because he blasted my arm off. Because I know the world is going to be a lot better without him in it. I think a lot of what the next few days are going to come down to, even hours, is just choices. And let's hope that we're making the best ones.
I mean, think about this. Garm introduced me to the person that ended up being the vessel to one of the darkest Sith Lords that the galaxy has ever seen.
Do we know that, like, in canon?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that person is who has infected Eric.
That you don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That
Nope.
was
I didn't think
that
the
was
Chaos
Vision
Squad knew
stuff.
it.
Yeah, that was
Oh, okay.
that was
Okay.
But yeah. And that's why I said, in theory, I don't think you do know that he's of the dark side yet. Well, you got a glimpse of it while you were in him, so you know he at least was touched by the dark side. But there's no knowledge that you have that guy was the vessel of Plagueis at this point. You just know he was
because if I
touched
knew
by
he
the
was
dark
like
side.
connected to a Sith Lord, I'd be like, nope, I'm out. But
Peace. Not messing with those guys. You all continued the conversation. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, let's go see this defector.
As you make your way down, you eventually come to the detention area. You're shown to his cell, and the door opens. A rather young officer, barely 23, 24. I don't want to say a kid because, we have some younger people here and might be considered a little offensive, but militarily wise, a kid, for lack of a better term. Pretty fresh face, clean shaven. He still has his black tunic, but all forms of rank or any sort of commendation, everything has been removed, and he's just standing there. So I take it you're the ones they sent to debrief me. And he sits down. There's a table there. This isn't what you would call a typical detention holding it sort of place. He has a bunk. He has a private fresher. He has a table there. There are books. There are things like that. This doesn't look as if someone was to be here for punitive purposes, but for situations just like this. If you bring someone in and you want to question them and still give them a sense that, they're people at the end of the day as opposed to prisoners, this is where we put them. But it is in the detention area, and it is, maximum security and everything like that.
Well, I guess that depends.
Well, at least I can do...
What's your name?
I am Lieutenant Mar Arkman. Mararkman.
Darn it, you said 23, 24, and I'm like, Han Solo? Yeah. Han Solo? Because he was 27 in the first movie.
Yep. No, it's not Han Solo, unfortunately.
Sad. Well, that's it. I quit.
All right. So how everybody enjoy the campaign? Was it fun? All that? Apparently we're doing Lord of the Rings now. So let's go. Let's go. All right. The least I can do is offer you a drink. I'm afraid it's not very good. It's no Nabooian wine, but it'll suffice. And he pours himself a glass and he takes a sip of it and sets it down. So it's not poisoned, and puts the bottle on the table. Anyone?
Nagina would say I don't drink this early, but I appreciate the gesture.
Cheers.
Gar drinks.
Gar would take it, yeah.
Thank you, friend.
Gar.
Interesting. Someone fresh out of the Imperial service.
A few years.
Wouldn't expect.
A few years now. But I've seen what they do, and everything they told me of what the Empire was is not true. I've seen it on this world. Show up late to a census and we shoot you. And or we don't shoot you, we shoot your entire family. Subjugate people, take them into slavery. What they're doing to those prisoners, especially that little one. And he takes a drink. I didn't sign up for that.
What can you tell me about the little one?
Commander Wayland makes it a point to...
Nadina, looks offended when she hears that he's been promoted to commander.
Commander Wayland has taken it upon himself to visit daily. Commander Wayland, and I don't know how, I don't know what to call it, has been given power. Not of a military type or style, but actual power. I've seen him pick up the little one and throw him from one side of the room to the other, not using his fists, merely with waving his hand and putting it in motion.
He's an agent of the dark side of the Force. An agent of the Sith.
He grabs and drinks. Kind of a whole gulp, puts it down. Well, I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what that is, but I'm willing to take a lot at face value given some of the things I've seen. He can look at the little man, and when he does, you feel the air rumble around you. And it's as if, even though he's not touching him, he's somehow choking the life out of the little man. And finally, perhaps most disturbing, and again, I don't know how this is possible, but he's had, with his armor, I've seen stuff, and I'm sure it's tied to that, but he can extend his hand, and red lightning shoots out of it and strikes the little man. Red electricity, and he'd say that, not lightning. Lightning's too power specific, but
Yeah.
red electricity shoots from his hand and strikes the little man. And if he really wanted something from him, if he were interrogating him or asking him questions or trying to get information from him, not that that would be acceptable, but I could at least see some reason in that. Not that it's right, but there'd at least be something. He never asks him anything. And he just keeps telling him he'll serve his purpose in time. He'll serve his purpose in time. Says he's foreseen it, whatever that means. I worked in the detention area for about 5 or 6 months since I've been stationed here. I was one of the shift leads. I wasn't the shift lead, but I was one of them. There's something about that little man. Compassion, strength. His defiance in the face of it all. Of course, he cries out in pain. But I don't feel he's really fully ever been afraid once. One time, he mentioned to Wayland he knew his friends were coming for him, that they wouldn't abandon him. Wayland leaned in close, smiled at him, and told him he was counting on it. I take it you're a Chaos Squad I've heard so much about. The Mandalorian kind of tips it away, as does the cowboy. It's amazing how
Tip the hat.
It's amazing how right they described your poncho. And he sort of smiles at that.
He's got almost an obsession with us, it seems.
I think that's
Not sure I'm flattered.
I think that's fair.
I am.
And forgive my impertinence, but via process of elimination, I guess you're Nadina and you're Marcus?
Captain Nadina.
Apologies, ma'am. Captain. He never refers to you by rank. He says
Go figure, he has no
He
respect.
says Nadina, and it's followed by usually some other colorful words which shall remain unspoken.
good.
He hates you,
He can.
but at the same point, he says he's grateful to you because you are responsible for making him what he is, what he's becoming. And the most frightening part of all, I've heard him say he looks to return the favor. Now, you can choose to take this with a grain of salt, disregard it. I can't tell you when you enter the halls of Erudition, where they're keeping Ono, what you'll run into the main floor. I don't know what they're going to have in store for you. However, when you reach the detention level, I can give you a detailed description of that floor, where Onosir is being kept, and ultimately how you can get out from that level. I can give you a code that would basically give you access to the underground hangar and ultimately tunnel to lead your way out. However, when they notice I'm missing, they're probably going to change it. But even with the code to start, hopefully it's something you guys can work with at least, and it'll get you somewhere. And regardless, I can figure where all of this stuff is. I understand if you don't trust me. I know I would consider it highly suspicious as well.
I've come. You and I aren't too different. Wayland's told you anything about me, you probably know. I'm also a defector. And it was people's trust that has gotten me to this point.
And it's no coincidence I asked for you in specific. I didn't expect the rest of your crew, but I'm guessing whoever sent you here probably wanted to make sure you're safe. He raises a glass and drinks and sets it down.
That would be likely. Trust and hope is really all we have. If you can help us get Ono, then I'll take your word. Because I also know what'll probably end up happening, and you probably know just about as much as I do, if your intel is wrong.
I understand. And that's why I don't think I'm going to be sent with you to be accompanied you. I'm sure they're going to keep me right here where they can keep an eye on me, and should I do anything to have betrayed the rebellion or this team, it will be put down upon me from there.
Especially this team.
The good news in some way is it's largely, once you reach the detention level, everything is one way. Specifically designed that way. One way in, one way to the actual detention block. And if you were to bring in prisoners, say, again, buy a space, land at the port, and to bring them in for processing that way, it's all one way. So there's only one way in, and there's only one way out. It's both beneficial and dangerous. If you take the turbo lifts down, which will probably be what you would have to do, and you have to take the secure turbo lifts down. Again, I can provide my code for that. Don't know if it'll be accessed, but if not, you'll need someone who has the capability to be able to hack in and do that. And for the record, everything I'm about to say, there will be an image that will be posted to chat. Ultimately, I don't have it today, and it won't, but it will be before your next session. There's what they call the control room. It's not a typical control room. It's the detention block control room. It's where they bring people in. It's a secure area to make sure they don't have weapons, et cetera, where they do all their processing and get it. That place is going to be heavily armed. Up until recently, there were just stormtroopers who were very well trained. But since Wayland's come, there's always one of his black armored troopers with him. I never see them eat. I never see them drink. I never see them move. They stand in the background, statuesque, waiting for the moment. You can count on at least
But,
Go ahead.
Just one?
Just one of the black troopers, yes. However, they're generally about 8 stormtroopers. However, the later night hours, that does cycle down to normally about 6. And there's 2 Imperial officers in there as well.
I kind of saw it while he's going through. I expect that there won't be any when we get there, but there'll be a lot more as we're trying to leave.
When you break through, there are two doors which are secured. Heavy blast doors, but not the kind that close this way, the vertical up and down ones, designed to drop and lock at a moment instance. Either one to use will actually either one of those doors will get you back to the detention area. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cells. 2 of those cells are more like pens than actual cells for individuals. They're to put large groups in and everything like that. Literally, Ono Seer is in the middle one, third one down. When you see the picture of it, it has a big number 2 by it. That's Ono's cell. So you may want to take a note, and I'll also post it that. The number 2 is Ono's cell.
Got it.
There are probably about 15 to 20 active stormtroopers and 2 of the dark armor troopers that are there in the hallways. 2 of the stormtroopers will be stationed by Ono's cell. At least that's the way it was when I left. When you clear that area, there are also 2 of the similar type of locked and secure doors. They lead to a secondary control room. So there's control rooms on both sides. That control room is specifically tied to the hangar, the underground hangar where they're able to get people out. That's a little less fortified, because normally anyone trying to escape through the front side will normally have very little of them left by the time they hit there. And if you don't know how to open the underground tunnel to get to the hangar, you're not getting it. It's not obvious. You have to know where it is. You have to know that. So it's a little less secure than that. There is a door on the left-hand side of that. Again, slides up and down. That leads to... it's not as much a control room as much as we call it the shakedown room. If someone's brought off a ship before they get taken into the detention area, there's no way to put it. It's the place you make sure they're ready to be subdued. It's pretty much an open room, heavy guarded, where prisoners are physically prepared for detention. They're wearing armor, it's removed. They're beaten down basically to a point of unconsciousness so they can be dragged the rest of the way. That tunnel leads to the hangar bay. Attached to the hangar bay are offices and controls on the ship. It would be in the northeast corner. The hangar bay is equipped with 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, Jason. Yes. Is it possible for this to be, like, this information to be posted in the chat for expediencies and also my own processing?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sake?
Sorry.
Okay.
There's TIE fighters in there. There's troopers in there. There's some storage stuff in there. Everything in there, though, he says that's kind of unusual, is metal. I mean, it's just really unusual. Metal crates, metal everything. It's all metal in there. And that ultimately has the tunnel that leads out. He also says if you go through the hangar bay, there's a secret passage which could connect back to the control room, but he doesn't know where that is or too much about it. That's sort of, he's heard that's the panic. There's a panic route. If you're in the hangar offices and need to get out and up and into the building, there's a way to do that, but he doesn't know what that is. And that's all I'm going to say about that, so we can stop technical stuff. But yes, this will be posted in the chat after game and everything.
Okay, thank you.
But
Well,
and that
your information is valuable, and for your own sake, I hope it's not wrong.
it's not. And when someone gets in here and talks to me about what my information is worth, I'll pass codes and everything like that along.
I appreciate
I
that.
just want to make sure that when I walk out of this, that I didn't hurt the little man. I didn't hurt anybody unless they tried to escape or tried to hurt us first. I can't take what they've done. It's too much. It's not what I signed on for. It's not. I didn't agree to be a part of this. And there's a time where you have to do whatever you can, even if that's running away.
I understand. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Can we take like 2 seconds because I just need to use the bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Human break.
Guards, I'm ready to shoot. Let's go shoot. Ah! Are we saving Ono in this session, or is that a next session thing?
Next
Dang.
session. This is the RP session. Sorry, guys, gotta have one.
Okay.
Well, you all had a busy adventure last time running around and shooting some things and sneaking in and doing stuff. So we have to give the breath game, and then we'll come back and we'll have lots of stuff. And honestly, there is combat in 3, there is mass combat in 4, and then in 5 is the governor off combat. There is no safety governor on the engine
okay.
anymore. Let's go. Let me.
So how's things?
Things are good. The puppy's good.
How's having a puppy?
It's good. Okay, where is this in the recording? Can I see where is the time? Sorry, I'm not looking at you guys at the moment. I'm trying to see where this is so I know where it is. Okay, hour 16. Okay, so I know where I can edit and cut out and then re-stuff. So yeah, look at the recording. Having a puppy's great. She's a big nipper right now, and we're trying to work on that a little at the moment. But she's absolutely protective of Chloe. Chloe is her person. Like if Chloe wanders anywhere, she wants to go with her, and won't let any. She'll leave us to go follow Chloe. Like later, guys. After her. And that's great because it's one of the big reasons we also got a dog is for her and Chloe to bond and for Chloe to have that kind of relationship. And Chloe really likes her. Anytime, like even if she's in her crate or something, Chloe will come stand on the crate and like lower her hair so it'll hang down so the pup can play with her hair. It's pretty.
As silly as it is, I heard, and this helped for Louis when he was nippy as a puppy. If you really exaggerate and yelp like a basic like that, it's one of the things that like it teaches them. Oh, don't do that. Like. If you make like a kind of like how puppies when they get spooked they make exaggerating yelpy kind of noises. Apparently that's the kind
like
of thing.
Louis did when he scratched his ear too hard last night because he's a big baby.
Sorry, I saw somebody walk by in the backyard. I didn't realize they were in the backyard. Is Andrea and Chloe in the backyard? Okay. I was like, who's in our backyard? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
That's what we do with Chewbacca still because he nibbles a little and you just go ow ow like big like really make it exaggerated. Okay. He's and funny though. He'll actually push it better.
It feels really silly to do it too,
but
okay.
But it's worth it. Louis doesn't nip at all. He's never put his teeth on me. I know, but like, yeah, you had him. We were long distance when he was a puppy.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's so funny to me that he's such like a mama's boy now, is because Jake did all the raising and the training and all that stuff, and then I show up in Indianapolis 3 years later, and I'm his favorite person. So
Gotcha.
Jake's not bitter.
It's fine.
Okay. By the time you guys are finished the interrogation, and the whole interrogation, by the time he lays out specs, shows you, and he shows you, kind of like, well, they can't really show you because of the communications, but he literally gets stick in the sand and is like, here's what it is, and drawing stuff out so you guys can really, try to get a good grasp around this, and about what you're going to be dealing with and everything.
I love all the sound effects in the background.
There's the R2 in the background.
Yeah. It's the Rebel bass music and ambient sound, so it's I believe we have some Han Solo even in Princess Leia at some point later. I believe Laser Brain gets uttered in some that we'll get to hear, but it's great. By the time you guys get out, you get a ping to report back to the war room. There's an update. When you get there, everybody who was there before is reassembled. And Sergeant Grimsby stands up, is like, all right, so here's the deal. And he technically explains how the blackout's being done. How with rotating frequencies and things like that, it's impossible to really get through. However, what he feels he can do is he found a way to basically kind of intermingle your guys' signal that they're going to generate in with the rotating signal and have it be like when magnets sort of are in opposition, it creates sort of that little buffer field. He can do that for about a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, honestly, he can probably manage to pull this off about 5 times during the course of the day. It's going to take him a while to get it set up. It's probably going to be not till after evening chow goes down. But there are a grand total of 5 messages that will be able to be sent. Sarek says, well, he's planning on contacting Rebel High Command and trying to find out the status. He thinks that when the rebels get there, they might be able to help to restore communications for you guys to ultimately be able to pull what you gotta pull. There are 4 other messages, and he turns to Chaos Squad. You guys have helped people. You guys have contacts that we don't have. I'm going to call the one contact that I have. With where you're from, who you've contacted, and who you've dealt with over time, there are people out there who can help. He asks to clear the room to clear. Everyone does. Garm turns and walks. Looks back at Sarek. Looks at y'all. Purses his lips together, nods, and steps out of the room. Of all other guests and dignitaries, of anyone else here who wasn't part of this rebellion to begin with, you're the 4 I trust. I need you. If you can think of anyone who could offer assistance, anyone who could help bring a fighting force that can make a difference on this planet, we need them. It's our most desperate hour. I need you to make a cry into the night. To hopefully have salvation by dawn. can you help me?
Of course.
I'm going to leave you guys the war room. When you know who you'd like to contact, or however many of the 4 that you all want or need to use, let me know and we'll begin to set up things on our end. And guys, while you know I trust you and I love you, I'm hoping maybe you can bring those to me, because we need to talk about some things.
Of course.
Whatever you need, guys. And whatever you need to go help get our boy, let me know. And I'll do what I can.
Nadina sighs deeply at that, almost losing her composure, and then, but nods.
He steps out and he turns to go join everybody else out there and to send them on their merry way. So at this point, I turn to the 4 of you. You have 4 calls.
Four calls,
cries
okay.
for help. Hyperspace transceiver can go anywhere in the galaxy. Anywhere, arguably, in the galaxy. But only for about a minute. So what you'll need to do is decide who you would like to call and what you would like to say and what you'd like to ask for.
Someone stop Gar from just calling somebody to insult them to their face.
Caesar, you're a prick. That's one.
No. He's gonna call Caesar.
Worth it.
Hey, buddy, pal, friend of mine, and I really need a favor.
Caesar and I separated on fairly okay
You
terms.
did.
Yeah, but he's in the pocket of the Empire.
Yes.
Okay, I have several people I can think of off the top of my head, but I don't know how
I'm
many
going to
people
let you
they'd
guys
bring
talk
with
about that
them.
for a second. I'm going to grab myself a drink, and I think I may need to also take a pee real quick. So you guys please keep talking. You don't need me for this.
Okay. I have 3. I can't 4, actually, technically, if you count my family. Oh, and Ban. Shit. But, like, obviously I don't want to just be like, okay, these are the 4 we're calling, and, like, screw the rest of y'all.
I've got 2.
Okay. So I guess it's just whatever. So let's just, like, everyone throw out, like, and Nadina would be saying this, like, let's just make a list together of the contacts that we know. We'll figure out which ones are the most valuable. Those are our 4.
Feel free to. What are your 4?
Iridan and his group. I'm sure he could rank.
Ragtag band of merry men. Yep. Mhm.
Ragtag band of merry men. Gaval and Indium. And, well, as don't know how I feel about bringing children into a battlefield, but they'd be able to in turn reach out to some of the young people that they've trained themselves. My father, as it so turns out, is a Fulcrum agent working for the Rebellion. If we could contact him, possibly, he might be able to get a hold of more rebels. And I met... He'd also be able to get a hold of Ban Nakarthi, who is a covert rebel operative on Ryloth. And then there's a squad I know, though I don't know how much they're together. They're called the Omega Squad. When last I saw them, it was highly trained rebels, Togruta, Force Wielder, a Mandalorian, another Twi'lek, and... missing. This is my game. I hate myself. Is that it? Oh, and a Weequay.
So a bunch of copycats.
I'm just salty because Jesse's in that squad. Though, they might also be able to come with Rebel High Command. Those are my people.
I would say definitely call them so we can have like an Avengers Endgame type of thing.
Well, I think we're doing that with Crit Squad.
The Avengers B Squad? Is that what you mean? Yeah.
No, because we're better than the Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my 4.
Who's the Avenger?
What does anyone else have?
I've got Oberon and Erolani.
You said Oberon? Is that what you said? Yeah.
I definitely think the Mandalorians. There was like 600, 700 of them on the Battle of Frizorn? 800, yeah. Well, minus a few that went down.
Yeah.
Well,
too.
and that was 800 with 3-day notice or whatever it was that we gave them, right? So
okay,
and that was without any real allegiance or any real, that was just honor bound, right?
So I would definitely put a slot down for the Mandalorians. Absolutely. One of them is worth like 5 of us. 800 of them.
Why can't I ever remember this guy's name? The bonehead at the spaceport. What is his name?
Wayland?
Cal Corsa. Yeah.
Cal Corsa.
I don't know why I can't. I always want to start with a D, and I'm like, it's not a D, it's a C, right? That's the way I just need to remember it. I mean, for my part, Cal Corsa could be interesting, right? For a couple of reasons. One, they have a tremendous amount of experience with highly explosive items.
I thought that my understanding was that it was Sarek leading the Meridite explosion because not enough people had experience on this planet with Meridite specifically.
Yeah, but I mean, the reality is he's got functional forced knowledge. This is what these guys do, right? Not to mention they have a forge that, in theory, has droids and bots that could come to the battle. And then secondly, obviously I could contact my master and potentially have a group of highly trained special forces elite Nogri unit that could show up. He won't be able to join the fight directly, because if he does, Vader shows up.
Yep. And you're sure that these people that he works with won't be, I don't know how the Force works.
Not works
they won't
with.
Be tied to him in some way.
Oh yeah, no, they don't work for him.
No, works alongside is essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah, but no, so they are his disciples. They are,
okay.
I mean, and that's not even the right way to frame it, right? At the end of the day, he is freeing them from the dark side of the Force and what has gone on at their planet.
And you know this too, Marcus. They view him as a shaman. He's almost like a planetary shaman to them. So this would be like the Pope turning to his elite Catholic squad of this, saying, "You're going into action. We're going into action." Yep, we absolutely are. So
I'm a known, and beyond that, I am a known quantity on the planet, right? My family is known, their history is known, and I am now known to them. So if I call them, they will come.
And Gar?
Well, I'd say
your brother.
Bo, but he and I are currently not on a talking relationship.
Yeah, I've fought alongside your brother a couple times. I don't know how much I would trust him.
Neither do I.
All right. So we've got, for Jason's reference as well, we've got Omega Squad, we've got Yrden Stonic, we've got Gaval and Indium, my family, Cal Corsa, the Nogri, and we definitely have a slot to call the Mandos.
Okay. So,
and then I do still have access to one other person on. It wasn't Tatooine. Where did we go?
Let's get Obi-Wan.
It wasn't Corellia, right? It was
Naboo?
the was it Naboo? Yeah, it was Naboo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Gaval. I would definitely highly recommend putting Gaval on that list. Gaval and Indium. Even if they don't come, they could seriously get us some help and or some contacts, weapons. Indium has told me whatever we need. Do you think that sounds fair?
Well, we only have one call, right? So that's your you need to decide which is your call. There's 4 of us and 4 calls.
And for the record, and this goes for Gartu, each of you is going to be making a call. So everybody's going to make a call. So even if it's not on the list, like Gar could in theory call Oberon and say, hey, however, I will say this much, there will be charm rolls made to try to do this. And depending on your relationship to the person, will set difficulties.
Okay. I'm going to cross Omega Squad off, not because I don't think they'll be helpful, but I have a feeling because they are closely tied directly to the rebellion that they would come when the call for Rebel High Command comes. So I'm just going to mark them. That leaves...
She's crossing them up because she knows how hard it is to get them to show up for any game. Well, hey guys, show up for a game that's not yours. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
No, I think that, well, I mean, like, Jesse would be on in an instant. So would, it's mostly working around people's schedules.
Yeah.
And also, I don't want Jason to have to deal with the possible crit squad plus my squad. That's going to be like 10 people in a game, and that's insane.
That is crazy. That is nutty. Absolutely batty.
Yeah. And that would also be Jesse having to pilot like 3 characters. So, I don't know.
So do we have any concerns with when is this call is going to be made today?
They're going to be
right.
They're all 4 are going to be made basically throughout the night. You're not sure exactly when, but it's like we'll be able to punch it. Then we have to cycle, try to repeat the process. Then we'll be able to punch it, and then. But once they have sort of the formula, replicating it the 4 times, it's not going to be like as long as it took to get the first one off the ground.
If I call Indium, I can ask her to get in touch with my father and for him to spread the message to come help. Because my family's on Naboo, and Indium and Gaval know my family.
It's true.
So I'll call Indium.
And the reason why I ask that is we're going to have to plan on who we call being relevant, either in calling their own set of resources or being able to respond directly to us, right?
Yeah. Okay. And that leaves Marcus and Gar to choose.
Well, and we've got a 4th person that needs to choose too, right?
Yeah. Well, we've got Mandos and Indium.
Well, I don't know if Chiron decided that that's who he's calling. I think you might have made that decision for him.
Sorry. Okay, well, what would you... Well, Chiron, I may have jumped the gun. Would you rather call the Mandos or Aralani? Either way, I have no issue.
He wants to call Aralani because he totally wants Jason.
I want her to call Aralani. If you're talking, Bob, you're muted.
It's like I'd like to call them both, but to be more practical, I'd probably get a hold of Oberon.
And again, you guys are welcome to, as you're saying, like with Nadina's suggestion of, hey, I'm going to have Indium get a hold of my father. Chiron, you're probably welcome to ask Oberon, hey, could you reach out to Aralani for me as well? You know.
You call my girlfriend for me.
I hear you like, Mandos, how do you feel about bare-chested ones?
Mr. CEO girl.
So something just occurred to me.
Sir. That was the Gungans all along?
Why? See, why would you do that? Why? Why? You know how much I hate Jar Jar Binks.
Sorry.
I hate him more than
I'm gonna make a Gungan.
I hate him more than I hate the Ewoks, and that's saying something.
That is unfair blackmail, Katie, too, I will say for the record.
Unfair that's
blackmail. Because then I would have to kill your second character almost instantly.
Another Gungan!
You wouldn't have to. I'd kill her. No. Turn to the dark side just to freaking get rid of the Gungan.
Oh, the Marcus and Eric adventures! Yay!
Yeah, right. So,
all right.
Do I think that I could speak to my master outside of this blockade?
You've never tried.
Worth a shot.
I mean, yeah, you can, but also keep in mind, again, sending up flares in the galaxy. If you contact your master, you're throwing up a blip that can be seen.
Yeah. Well, that there won't be a problem with that, because I'm thinking about I could call Cal Corsa and call my master.
It's up to you.
Decisions.
Gar?
I can call Boba.
I love it. Yes.
Are you going to actually?
You could. You absolutely could.
He kind of shrugged. I mean, it's like, if I'm trying to
choke on something right there for a second. Sorry.
said, if I'm trying to choose somebody, I guess that'd be it.
Oh no, we're doomed.
I'm so happy. This is great. No, I love it. I love it. And please don't take that mean anything really sinister. It's so great. I did not expect that name to come up in this conversation.
No, me neither.
Yes. Do it.
I would have expected Prince Caesar over Boba.
Gar's got a bone to pick, and this can also... I mean, Gar has a completely peaceful talk to have.
Please don't try to shoot him. You saw his stats.
Gar would not try and shoot him. I'm sorry.
Okay, so is that Mando's Indium, Cal Corsa, Boba?
Well, I think that officially I will probably put my master on the priority list.
Okay.
But if I think I can reach out to him, so I have something brash that Marcus is going to do. So
Marcus doing something brash?
Yes. Yes.
As the space cowboy sues for gimmick infringement.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Marcus and Gar need to roll
for initiative. Is that what we need to?
Yes.
Punch. You're too trigger happy over there, my love.
I have not even put my hand on my pistol.
You're just always a little too excited for combat.
I like to shoot.
You're silly.
Who's gonna call first?
Ghostbusters.
Puppy love on the screen. Puppy love on the screen.
Hi, Puppy.
Oh.
Hello. Hi, sweet girl. I love her. Now, where's my dog to pick up?
She's such a good dog too. She's so good.
It's awesome. Jessie
she's got such a great energy. She really does.
That's awesome. Jessie was telling me that it's likely she'll get trained to be a service dog or an ESA.
Say that again. I was focusing on the puppy love.
Jessie was telling me that it's apparently likely she'll get trained to be a service dog or an ESA. That's really good.
The guy that is a personal trainer or is a dog trainer also has a specialty in service dogs. So
that's great.
Yeah, and she's hyper focused on Chloe, so it's really nice to see. But she's not like, in terms of like puppy scale, like, you know how some puppies are just crazy, like she's not that at all. Like, she's got such a great energy. Like when she plays, like it's like pop 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 pop. It's not like insanity. She doesn't run, she doesn't go crazy, but she's still got a nice kind of attentive energy. Like she
That's
focuses
awesome.
in on you and she checks in on you, like when you're walking. So I walk her 2 days out of the week, and like she checks out and she looks at me and she makes sure she's doing the right thing. But she's not like crazy puppy, but she's also not lethargic either. But she can go lay in her crate and be like, I'm cool, you're cool, I'm good, you're good. Like, and she, like, when you walk down the stairs, she'll look at you to make sure that we're good, and as soon as you do, she puts her head back down until it's time to come out and play.
Sounds like
Come here, mama.
She just came back.
Yes, I see.
I sent her upstairs, and she just came downstairs. Like, well,
Oh, mama.
there you go.
Come here, baby.
Yeah.
Gar would not mind. Gar would
Greg
not
is
mind
loving
going first.
this.
Oh yeah.
She's a go puppy dog.
And the game is over. We are all just cooing over the dog for the rest of the session.
All right. So do we have our 4? Are we settled, or do we have 3 of 4?
Yeah.
I think so. I've got a.
All right. So here. So who are my 4 officially? Give me 1 sec so I can write. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Boba.
Oberon.
Oberon. I heard Boba. Who else?
Indium.
Indium.
And Marcus has to tell us.
My master is who.
Okay.
Garen. Okay. So who would, obviously not Marcus, who would like to take first call slot? All right. Love it. It's not quite time yet. I'm assuming you guys kind of went through the list. Hem and Haw talk. Maybe an hour or so has passed. You still got a little bit before they're going to be ready.
Gar is like, as soon as the thought strikes him to call Boba, he is so hyper focused and on a mission for that.
There we go. That is awesome. All right, so Gar is Boba. Chiron, are you Oberon? Alrighty, and then Nadina is Indium. And Garen is Marcus. Fantastic. Okay. All right.
Would it be, I guess now it's not time, would it be possible to have a conversation with Bel Iblis? And there's also, like, I guess some of the other,
Absolutely.
I don't want to dominate the session, but it seems like I have quite a number of people to talk to.
Fuck that guy.
Is everybody
I mean, I
going
don't
to
like
talk
him,
to
but, like,
Bel
let's at
Iblis,
least part on
or-
nice terms. I'm trying to be diplomatic.
All right, is everybody going to talk to Bel Iblis, or is just Nadina going to talk to Bel Iblis?
I'm happy to participate.
I guess I go wrong.
Well, that's up to the captain.
She'd appreciate it, but she makes it clear that, like, she'd like to take the lead on this conversation because she doesn't want, like, anyone to be like.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
Outright.
not telling to get fucked, right? But I'm sure Gar might actually have a question or two.
Yeah.
The question is whether or not he wants to hear the answer.
Also, I'm going to be mad if we lose our name as Chaos Squad, because if I have to go have Nikki go get new merch, and I have
We
to,
own that
like,
name. We own that name.
Gar will bring the chaos.
We're the OG.
All right. It takes a little while to find Garm. When you find him, he's talking to Sarek, and Sarek is taking counsel from him. He's taking counsel from him in specifics about, they're talking about their portion. They're talking about their portion of the mission and how to get people out, and sort of, they're working on what to say because they don't want to at the same point inspire panic, but they need to get across the importance of the fact that, battle's coming, it's going to happen. We don't want to see anyone hurt who shouldn't be hurt. Let's get you guys to safety. Let's get you guys out of this, and then we'll bring you back when the time's appropriate. They're crafting it, and they're trying to work on it, all that. When they come in, and Garm sees everybody walk in and is like, I take it this is the cue to excuse myself, and Garm starts to stand up.
Oh, no, actually, and Nadina would nod towards Sarek and say, if you don't mind, we have a word with the senator.
What did you do? And they both sort of look and smile at each other, and at that, Sarek stands up. He starts to walk out. You sure you guys are okay? The room will be intact when I come back. Everything's going to be all right. And Garsos.
She rolls her eyes. Absolutely.
It will be. And he turns and gives you guys your liberty. So you guys are done, is the message I've received.
Well, that I'm still mulling over a little bit. But one thing's for certain. I know that this is a team. And this has been a discussion we've had, frankly, for a good bit of time now. it was brought to my attention when I woke up that we weren't put on this planet initially by accident. That we were sent here not to pick up the princess, but as well to be the spark that lit the flame, to incite the rebellion here. And then I found out from a technician on this base that this arm has a neurotransmitter that isn't typically found in cybernetics. Something that can specifically see what goes on in my head. And that I'm not sure I'm particularly comfortable with.
That's interesting. So, to your first point, that you were put on the planet for the reason. You were put to simply pick up the princess. That was your mission here. Flat out, plain and simple. Did I know Sarek was on this planet? Of course I did. But to say that you're implying that I somehow manipulated things to make sure you two would meet, that you would.
I mean,
your relationship...
Despot's Respite is where he frequents. Is that where he frequented? That's specifically where we were sent.
My network is, shall I say, a little limited. It's not a vast. I have hundreds of operatives on planet. I have who I have. Loraxu, plain and simple, was a part of the team. I didn't really. It was a choice where I could secure the location, where I could secure the game, where I could make sure that you guys met the right people who would ultimately help you, where you'd get a chance to meet Mirabelle. Now, from what I understand to Sarek approached Eric and Chiron on his own. That wasn't generated by me. He asked them for help. Could you say that me sending a Mandalore in, it would be a natural person he'd go to ask for help? I really didn't know Sarek. I really, am still getting to know Sarek now over all this time. But to suggest that you were specifically put there to give Sarek the courage to start all this, that wasn't my plan. That wasn't my intent. My intent was for you guys to pick up Princess Leia and bring her to me.
I roll perception.
Absolutely.
Let's see if he's lying, because I'm just like... Sure. I think he's too smart. Like, he knows.
He's grabbing dice.
Yeah.
Dice.
Okay.
And so as the captain is gathering her thoughts there for a brief second, I just kind of throw out flippantly, and I guess the assassination of the guy at the bar with explosives was just a coincidence. Do you deny it?
I do.
Force successes to advantage.
Let me see. This is
just meta. Even the fact you're rolling.
Is Marcus
He's got 2 and 2. So, was he telling the truth? I'm going to try to put this phrase the best way possible. He's not lying in the fact that he hadn't planned on that necessarily. However, you do intend that he had hoped that maybe something like that would happen. That I didn't sit there by design and say, yes, I want these two to see each other. I want this to happen. I want him to spark this boy into setting a fire. But at the same point, he was aware that could have been, that possibility was out there, and could occur. Whereas if you didn't show up, who knows if that would have occurred or not. Is that fair?
And I think that's what she said. Yeah, I think that's what she'd say. So sure, it might not have been it might not have been a conscious action, but I think you hoped that this would come out of that. I think if you knew that Sarek was there, that he's been my friend since childhood.
Marcus Snickers.
She just side-eyes him very quickly. And that seeing me alive for the first time in over 6 years would have sparked something. I think it wasn't your intent, but it's certainly an outcome you had prepared for.
Well, I wouldn't say it was an outcome I'd prepared for, because if you guys had simply shown up and delivered Princess Leia, it's not like I'd say, well, go back to the planet again, and go back to the planet again, and go back to the planet again until that happened. If something happened, great. And who could have imagined that this full-blown rebellion would have come out of that meeting? That it wasn't something I could plan on, and it's nothing I've done to further manipulate or further to do anything to say, let me advance that agenda. It was the natural... I don't want to say natural consequence. It was a natural effect of what happened.
All right. And what about my arm?
The neurotransmitter that's in there, if you ask a medical person, that's how the thing knows if you get knocked unconscious. When you stop transmitting to the arm, that's how your little spider bot, which comes alive and shoots and stabs you, that's how it knows it's time to do that. Without that neurotransmitter, that doesn't work. That's what that's for.
So then tell me how you were able to make a propaganda video out of a dream I had.
Because when they put you out and they put you under, they had monitor of your brainwaves going on. And on a computer, they captured select images that were happening in your head, that were happening in your brain while it was during surgery. I didn't ask for it. It's something that the CyberDoc did. And then he passed the file to me. I said, wow, I was impressed by what I saw, and said, you know what? This would be inspiring. If you want to ask the CyberDoc about it, but that was all him. And why did I get those images from the CyberDoc? So the CyberDoc wouldn't have them going forward. Because in case you missed it, I've been about protecting you guys, keeping you guys safe, keeping you alive, keeping your friends safe and alive from the very beginning. Anytime you've needed me, I've been there. And I've been there with bells on. Regardless of cost, regardless of expense, regardless of that, because I thought we had a relationship. I'm sad to see it wasn't a two-way street. And that's okay.
Oh, I am being gaslit to all hell right now. This is fun. I
mean, I have no hold on you guys.
In fact, appreciate everything that you've done for us. And my own personal, and I look back at Marcus, my own personal reasoning for wanting to spread out is, well, I'd like to hopefully be a part of the bigger rebellion at some point. I don't know about these guys, but I'd hope they come with me. I have no ill against you. And again, and she places a hand on his shoulder, in a friendly way. I can't tell you how much I appreciate how I'm trying to think of a better way of saying come in clutch. How you've been there when we needed it. Money-wise, something I can't repay, and gratitude-wise, I can't
money's
either.
Not money. I have. It's never been about the money for me.
It's been about the revenge.
It's been about the mission.
I'm sure that you've conveniently talked yourself into that perspective. But when you put other people's lives ahead of the broader mission, right? For you, and again, it's a convenient lie to say that the ends do justify the means, that the mission is bigger than the individual, that people die on the battlefield. I don't think that you care if people die on the battlefield. I think you expect it. And because you expect it, you've talked yourself into believing that it's okay. I don't think you have remorse. I think that killing the Empire for what they did to you and your family is more important to you than the cause.
And if I don't care about whether people live or die, that's why I spent millions of credits on an arm.
I thought it wasn't about the money.
You're not letting me finish. Millions of credits on an arm to make sure that somebody stays alive, potentially. That if she was ever knocked unconscious, if she was ever going to be killed with a single shot or something along those lines, I would give her a way to live, to go on, to continue. I do care what happens to the people who I work for. And I don't feel I lie to myself at all. If you ask me, would I be willing to blow up a building to get one target? If there was side collateral, like I'm doing here, I would do everything I can to avoid that situation. But in the end, if it had to be done, I would. And I've never made qualms or tried to hide that. So I don't see how that's a lie. Because if I tried to hide it, if I didn't admit it, if I didn't consider that consequence myself, I would. You say it's just about revenge. It's not. You can't look at this empire as a whole, at everything they've done. Look at what they're doing here. The differences between what they do and what I do are two very different things.
The difference for me is that you calculate that ahead of time. Death happens on the battlefield. We all know that. The difference is you make a calculation realizing that there are innocent people, and rather than coming up with a different plan, you'll still execute the plan, calculating that those people are expendable. That is unacceptable.
But that's where you're wrong. That's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing and why I specifically volunteered to help where I was going to help doing this. Trying to get innocent people out of the way. Trying to minimalize that. Because any responsible leader, that's what they do. You try not to fight in places like this with a high civilian casualty rate. You try to take the battle elsewhere. You try to get things done to minimize that fact. And you try to save as many lives as possible. I served as a Senator of the Republic before it was the Senate for the Empire. I know what it's like to serve people. But now, having survived not just one great war, but what I'm sure is going to be a second great war, it teaches you some lessons. And it's you can only do so much. You can only do what you can. And do everything you can.
I see another choice. Justifying that you can only do what you can do, I think, is accepting that your plan is good enough for you, but not good enough for the collateral damage. It's easy when you're not the collateral damage. It's easy when you're not the person that your decisions affect. And I think that you need to do a better job.
Now, I'm inclined to agree, but I think it's more you say these things. You're not saying them for us, because I don't think you really think you'll change what we think. I think you're trying to convince yourself there that the ends justify the means, and I don't think that's right. I think you're more full of it than a clogged up bantha.
And to be clear, this isn't about. I like what you've done for me. I like the relationship that we had, and quite frankly, I've believed in the mission in terms of the outcomes that you've affected and the positive outcomes that you've affected. But those are the things that are in the spotlight. Those are the things that people see that is the propaganda video. The things that I'm concerned about are the choices that you make behind closed doors that no one else gets to see. Just like the Jedi made those same types of decisions, and they were wrong. They enabled the clone army, the millions and millions and millions and millions of clones to wreak war across an entire galaxy. In the name of what? Some false sense of righteousness? And you fell victim to that false sense of righteousness. You need to do better. The rebellion needs to do better. And so to your comment that you made earlier, is the team done? No. That's the captain's choice. I'm just done with you. That's my choice. I'm not angry. I'm not mad at you. I'm not disappointed. But quite frankly, what I realized last night that I did was what you would have done. And I realized that I didn't like that decision.
But it's not what I did. It's what you did.
And you've done it before, just like having that bartender killed. And I know that you had him killed. So the fact that you lied to my face is interesting. And just proves to me that my decision is final.
I didn't lie to your face.
Are you telling us that, or are you trying to convince yourself? Because even now, I'm not sure.
What proof do you have? Because early in game, you guys don't have proof that he did that.
I was gonna say, I feel like Greg's metagaming.
You could be trying to Eric a confession out of him. I was saying. Now, would you say I am the type who would destroy a bar to kill one man? Sure. And if it was, I killed the bar to get killed a man to get Captain Wayland, per se, when he was Captain Wayland. I could see your point in that. I had no reason to kill the despot. None. No reason to kill him whatsoever. I didn't march those students to that center, have them stand. I didn't advise them on how to act or what to do. I didn't set the Imperials up or give the Imperials a response of how they were going to handle that situation. It's how the events unfolded.
You just let it happen.
How could I have stopped it? What could I have done? I was
Gar's thinking about
I know what Gar's thinking.
So, Jason, I may need your help
Sure,
remembering some specific events.
Yep. Nope. You do.
So our very first time,
You're absolutely
it was
right.
was it the Zyd? What was the race? It was a Trandoshan. I thought it was a different guy.
It was the Trandoshan who did it. Who was with you? Yeah.
So basically, it like, oh gosh, what was the guy's name?
You're gonna make me dig. That's okay. Give me a second. I will.
Yeah, I'm so.
It's okay.
Like it. I can just say that Gar. We mentioned
you can
that.
mention the name and save me a little bit of digging, right? So Gar says that Trandoshan.
So, like the gist. Oh, yeah, and like, and the gist of it is no, it was the guy that he went and killed in that mission that we were supposed to go find, essentially. Right. Where it's like
Trandoshan was the one who slipped away from your party, and then
like,
came back and said,
"You can deny and deflect all you want, and you might have not specifically ordered that to happen or planned for that to unfold that way, but you set things up in a way that was a good possibility and that it would be okay if that happened, or everything would work out if that happened. I think you set it up so you have just enough deniability, but you set it up so that it comes out the way you want it."
And at the same point, that man who took that action, that when I found out about it, stole a ship, fled. And who did I send after them?
Funny how those loose ends got tied up, right?
Look, I don't think this conversation is getting us anywhere. I think my team has their perspective. And you have yours. I don't want this to end on poor terms. Because again, I appreciate what you've done. But I think Chaos Squad, she makes a firm point of saying Chaos Squad, like we are still Chaos Squad. I think we need to find out what we're going to do next. But I hope to have you as a friend and an ally.
Exactly. Friendship has to be extended to be reciprocated. All I've ever been is a friend to you all. But I have no control over you, nor am I going to do anything. I'm not going to present a bill for a ship or a hand or anything like that. I'm not going to say, oh, well, this is mine or that's mine. It's not what it's ever been about. I appreciate your all service, and if your service is done, fare you well.
Okay. I need a minute. Whew. Oh, that conversation wasn't comfy. I think she would nod and walk away.
Just wait till I drop the bomb on Leia. Oh, wait.
Gar, tip of the hat and follow. Best wishes. Or something to the effect of good luck.
Gotcha. Oh, and Marcus, one more thing. What's up? Pulls out a gold pen from inside his thing. Parting gift. In case you ever need it again.
And that's the anger that I'm talking about.
I'm not angry, Marcus. Not at all.
This man petty, though. I think Nadina would go and sit in the reflecting garden.
Okay.
The difference between us, Garm, I'm able to own my mistakes and find redemption for them. You should try it.
All right. Nadina is going to the garden.
Just to sit.
All right. Got an hour left. Okay, well, we are an hour left and we're 55 minutes in real session time. So, anything anyone wants to handle before it's time to start making some calls?
I forgot about the calls. That was too much.
Yeah, that's great.
Seemed like there were a couple people that Nadina needed to speak to.
Okay. Yes, there were. There was a Mon Cal, and of course, Sarek wanted a moment as well.
I'm just sitting there. If either one of them want to approach me, I'm vibing.
Okay.
Come at me, boys.
Sarek comes seek you out in the garden and comes sits down. I understand things got a little tense.
I didn't want them to, but as much as I am in charge of my squad at the same time when it comes to their opinions, their thoughts, what needs to be done, well, there's only so much I can say.
I'm sure everything will be fine. I don't see anything that could come back from this.
I am a little worried about you going with him. I don't think he's going to try to literally stab you in the back or anything, but he is the kind of person who will do things for the good of the cause and things that might not be, well, things that I wouldn't necessarily do or my team wouldn't necessarily do.
It'll be okay. He's a friend of the rebellion at the end of the day. And I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for him. If it wasn't for you.
Doesn't make you.
It wasn't for them. If it wasn't for you. If it wasn't for Leia. If it wasn't for everyone. He's a part of it. And he's going to continue to be a friend for Rebellion, regardless of his relationship with Chaos Squad. They need him to win. Bottom line is, in war, in times where really things are desperate, everybody needs someone like Garm Beliblis.
You know so much about war now.
No, God, no. I'm petrified about what's going to happen. We don't. In case you don't know, we don't stand a chance. I don't know if you've calculated the odds. But you know what? The one thing you can never factor in all of it? If people believe. When people believe in what they're doing, as opposed to someone who was forcibly taken or volunteered and then had their lives turned upside down. We're going to put on a better fight than what they expect.
I think that's true. I think I definitely work a lot harder since, well, flipping to the side.
What did the Imperial Lieutenant have to say? You can recap. Again,
yeah, she would sigh deeply and recap, and she said, and for the first time that he's seen, I don't think he's seen Nadina upset or scared, barring like, ouch, I fell down and maybe scraped myself on the playground kind of thing. I just can't help but feel responsible for this. For everything. The fact that I don't even know if we're going to make it out of this fight.
You're responsible. And he smiles and he laughs. Nadina, you're not responsible for this. I'm not even responsible for this. Do you want to know who's responsible for this? All those white bucket heads and stooges in black clothing over there. They're the ones responsible for this. If they acted with decency or morality or any kind of code or anything but bullies and murderers, it'd be one thing. Because people do what you like is no reason to line families up against the wall and shoot them. Where's the sanity in that? Where's the humanity in that? Where's any sort of empathy in that? They're responsible for this. And they're going to reap what they sow. All we've done is give people an option. We've shown them hope. And we've shown them love. And we've shown them that that way is better than the Imperial way.
It is.
He's about to say something. And Dr. Athelton, who I don't know if you remember, is the doctor that accompanied you and Sarek when Sarek was floating in Bacta.
Yes.
Has stuck around this whole time and been overseeing that. I mean, you know that he's actually a real rebel surgeon who's stayed attached through this all. Sarek, I'm sorry, but at the same point, I'm glad you're here. I think you need to hear this too. I know what you're going to say, but you're going to let me say it, and she's going to hear it. Because I think she's the only one
do I need
that
to hear?
can talk some sense into you. He can't do this. The fact that he's up and walking around, even the amount that he is such a miracle. To put himself out there on the ground, to be ushering what could be a stampede of hundreds of thousands of people, trying to guide and direct. And I appreciate, I've heard Imperial distraction, I've heard it's distraction for the Imperials. I've heard this going on, that going on, all sorts of things. That's all great. But you know eventually they're going to turn. Eventually they're going to fire at those fleeing people. And you've been a part of that. Do you remember the courtyard? And at that, Sarek sees it. Do you remember not only people dying, not only from Imperial fire, but being trampled because people physically ran over them? You can't be out there and do that. I'm sorry to raise my voice to you, Commander. But you could wind up never being able to walk again. Your place is here. Your place is in this command center. Your place is not out on that field. Everything you've accomplished is a miracle. Everything. You have defied the odds. Just like you're doing with all of this. You've defied the odds. You've already become the symbol. You've already done everything you've had to do. Don't go out there. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do I think that force healing would be different than what the types of...
More than likely.
So Marcus stands up when he's
are you in the garden
ranting.
as well? Okay.
Yeah, so I've made my... That's where I spent a lot of my time recently, but I've kind of let all of that... I was just kind of wandering, thinking about...
Yeah, Nadina doesn't care what she's...
I'm kind of twirling the pen, right? So...
Sarek says, you're right. I am a symbol. I am someone who's bucked and defied the odds. I'm someone who's done everything I can. And that's even more of the reason of why I need to be out there. Because me being out there will make the people not trample.
No. Because at the end of the day, we know that they still will. And at the end of the day, I know you're going to stay behind to get as many out. I know when it came to the courtyard, it took Marcus almost having to physically pull you to keep you from coming back to get me when I was trying to put out Eric. Do you remember what Eric said that first night we were in Satravan City? The bar? She's asking him that. It's not a rhetorical question.
He's just looking blankly at you, like waiting for you to say it. So
that you don't want to be the person that dies for their cause. You want others to die for theirs. That's something that stuck with me a lot. And if you're not going to do it for yourself, could you at least do it for me?
You're muted, by the way. Okay. Greg's going, oh, she did it. She did it. He stops and he looks at the doctor and he looks at you. All I can promise is I'll think about it.
No, I need an answer. Because I'm not walking into this battle that I know is coming up at the headquarters and being afraid and thrown off my guard because you're in danger. Because that happened on Zorn, too.
And at that, I've kind of rounded the corner. I might be able to help with that.
All eyes turn to you. What?
And I kind of,
Okay.
you know.
You're going to stab him in the neck?
Pen time!
Right, yeah, exactly. There's some things, Sarek, that I know that you're aware of about me. But there's things that I've learned recently that I might be able to help you heal in a way that this, and I kind of, he kind of, not sarcastically, but kind of in a very Jedi-esque sort of way, right? This technology, this modern wonder that we've come so accustomed to, maybe there's an older way to help you regain some capability.
Marcus, what are you getting at?
While Chiron and I were away, I've learned some things. Do you remember our time? What was the name of the race?
The Faerun was the guy.
Faerun.
Yeah.
Do you remember our time with the
Faerun?
Faerun?
Carsene's race, Faerun.
The Cars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like watching a miracle.
And I let that sink in. So I let her realize what she's just said as I'm looking at her.
But how? I thought, did you receive instruction on Tatooine that I didn't know about?
I wasn't on Tatooine before I came to you at Govon's.
Balls.
All right. Marcus,
Do it.
skip the vague BS and tell me what you're going to do.
Do it.
And so now I not that I'm not paying attention, but I'm really sort of feeling the garden and where we're at, right? Kind of drawing on the training that I've had as I look at Sarek. I can help you. At least I think I can.
I'll take whatever help I can get.
So sit down.
And he does. He sits down and he grabs Nadine in his hand.
She's getting him.
Clear your mind. Release all of this worry and this doubt and this tension and the fear of what's next.
He closes his eyes.
Remember your speech and remember the desire to help other people. Brick by brick. Cell by cell. That's what I want you to focus on. You fucked me every time. Every time you fucked me, except for like one time. So help a brother out here.
Okay, I will say. I will give you a reroll if the first one comes up. Because of the where you are, because of the time to the emotion and everything of this, I will give you a reroll for free. However, if you take the reroll, you must accept the result. Which means you will, if it comes up dark side, I'm going to make you flip.
Did you hear that? Don't
So
fuck
in other
me.
words, you get two dark sides. If you take the reroll, you stick with it. But the first one, you have the option to walk away at that point. 2 light side points.
I forgive you. And every nasty thing I've ever dreamt about you over like the last 4 months, I forgive you.
You put your hands on him. Everyone can feel it in the room. Not only that. What look almost like little phosphorescent mites or gnats rise up from the grass and sort of illuminate the area. They grow bright. But they're not gnats or insects. You realize they're particles. They're living things that were attached, whether it was dew or anything like that. Everything sort of rises and begins to glow as he touches them. You feel a power, some sort of, again, like somebody dropping a rock into a pond, ripples spread out, energy come. It's all gathers and it all comes to, and it goes to Sarek, who rises straighter. Everything just seems, specifically with his back, where he had, remember I said I had a little bit of the hunched over since, as it rises back and straightens up and he returns to sort of a normal posture and all that. A few seconds pass and everything goes to dark. Marcus, you had 2 strain for the healing. As Marcus sort of steps back and staggers back, visually having expended part of himself in the process. Doc, get me to medbay now. And for the first time, fully upright, correct posture, chest back, or shoulders back, chest out.
I take like 2 steps back. I'm like a little nervous because you just said get me to medbay now.
Something's different. It's better than it's been. Doc, get me to medbay now. And Dr. Atherton says, this way, and sort of usher. He as he starts to walk away, he looks at Nadina. He walks over, just grabs her and kisses her. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. And he looks to Marcus and he just grabs you and gives you a big hug and embraces you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And
Nadina stands there a little shell-shocked. She was about to go follow them, and then that happened, and she's just like, okay.
And they slip off.
She calls out, and I love you, as he walks out.
He looks back at you. I know. Smiles, turns, and walks.
Yeah,
away.
I was waiting for that to happen.
He owed
Gives
you
the
one.
GM5 experience points.
He owed you one, so. But in the Leku, in sort of the language, love, he displays it. So they go off and they go that. If you and Marcus want to have a moment, cool. If not, I want to get to phone calls before our time is elapsing here. So.
I think she would just say, how?
The Force is much bigger and more alive and more present than any of us have been aware.
She takes his hand and squeezes it and says, thank you.
My pleasure.
She gives him a hug.
Aww.
Big hug.
Should I pinch her butt as she...
And she slaps you in the face with her leg.
Smack!
Oh, no, you get
Okay. We are going to fast forward to the commute. Who would like to make the first call? Gar is making the first call, and we are calling Boba.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're going to say. So think of it, this is a one-way transmission. Everything opens, you punch and broadcast, it closes. And we'll know at the end of the day.
Well, okay.
What's what.
Mm-hmm. I think Gar says, hey there, Boba. Friend. Remember that time we were riding in your ship? And you gave me your word you'd tell me before you double-crossed me, and then you didn't? Not no hard feelings about that. No particularly hard feelings, I guess. But I believe I was promised payout that I seems like I either didn't get or you may have kept, and that's okay. That's fine and good. But you combine two of those, and I would say I might be owed a bit of a favor. And I got a little bit of a problem. And if you would come help us do some shooting, it'll be fun. And I consider us all squared up. Now I know better than to broadcast this across the galaxy. May have learned my lesson from that one, at least for the next couple weeks. But you struck me as an honorable man, and I'd appreciate this making it up to me for not keeping your word.
Okay. So I have your difficulty dice in hand. I would like you to make a charm roll for me, please.
Could I roll a coercion instead?
Sure. I will let you sub in a social skill.
Yeah, it's a little
All
more
right,
coercion.
There you go. That's fine. I'm completely cool.
Coercion is a career
However,
skill.
that's going to add difficulty because it's the I'm threatening you, get your butt here and help, as opposed to hey.
Oh, okay. I thought coercion more of just like convincing, because he would not be doing this in a threatening way.
Hey pal, come and help me out. Do this. Coercion is the I have advantage. I have lean over you. I'm doing it now. I'll tell you what. I won't even do. Okay, yeah. Go ahead and roll your coercion. It's cool. It's cool. We're fine.
I think we're great. It's more of like appealing to
you are saying I have
his
some
sense of
leverage.
honor because he straight up lied to me.
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
Shoot. 2 successes, 2 advantage.
I have my witness. 2 successes, 1 advantage.
You're such a goof.
Now, again, you're left with an advantage at the end of the day. Would be what you think. So it will be what it will be, and we'll find out. Again, you're not going to get a response.
Yeah,
that was the punch through and all that. Okay, Who would like to go next? Nadina.
Hey, Indium. We need your and Goodfall's help. There's been reinforcements that have come in, and it's stacked against us heavily. And I know that we could not only use your piloting skills, but some of the resources you have as well. And if you could reach out to any of your operatives, if you could reach out to my father so he could reach out to anyone he knows, that would be very appreciated. I hate to tell you this as a way to convince you. And I'm not trying to. It's just something I never got to say. Wayland killed Mirabelle. He killed our friend. And it has devastated me every day to have lost her. And I think you know as much as I do that she'd hate to see what's going on now. So let's do this right. By her, by Ono, by everyone else on the planet. If you can bring what you can, I'll come sample your wine daily.
All right.
My friend, please.
I view that as charm. That's 100% charm.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely charm. I'm not trying to be like, hey, it's over here or something.
And as Greg will see, I have significantly altered the difficulty dice between what I rolled for Gar reaching out to Boba and what Nadina gets for
I figured about as much.
Go ahead.
3 successes, 1 advantage.
Okay. 1 success, 3 threat. So you're left with 2 successes and 2 disadvantage. Or 2 threat. Yeah. Okay. Message sent. Next on my list. Chiron, we haven't heard from you all day.
I know.
I was muted.
Gotcha.
This is video, right?
It's like it's an audio communication that's going to get punched through.
Oh. So yeah, I'm calling Oberon. And I tell him, Oberon, I am distressed to have to call you so soon after the loss of your clansmen in the fight of the Shadowport. But I need you again. We're getting ready to go up against the architect of that battle that killed so many Mandalorians. They've made foundlings of many, many children here at our location. And it would be an honor to your clan to come and take these foundlings and train them in our ways. My call was twofold also. We need to speak about some stuff that's transpired. And I'm sending you a private communication. If you'll send it to these coordinates, I would be most appreciative.
Okay.
Chiron out.
All right. Trying to think of if there's a. What are your knowledge skills?
My knowledge.
I'm just trying to come up with a good skill for you to have that maybe isn't charm.
Warfare?
Yeah, go ahead and you can roll your knowledge warfare because we're calling on the bonds of brotherhood versus his resistance here.
Just frat things.
2 success, 2 advantage.
Nothing. No resistance. Big blank. I rolled a
He
blank.
rolled a big fat
I rolled
zero.
a big fat 0. All right. Message is blasted out through the universe. Last, but certainly not least.
Master, I don't have much time, so I'm going to ask you to record a message that I want broadcast to as much of the galaxy as you can. For those who would be free men, there is a darkness in the galaxy, a darkness yearning and planning to destroy the hearts of man. Will your heart allow you to stand by and be the next slave system for the Empire, while they steal your planet's resources and murder your family? Now is the time for all good people to come to the aid of Satravan City. Time for good to stand against the crashing waves of tyranny and remind the Sith, remind the Empire, and remind those that would subjugate their fellow man that the Twin Tails is more than just a minor uprising. It's an ideal. It's a signal for the downtrodden that they can stand up to their oppressor and turn back the tide of evil that would see us all as slaves. During the darkest night and the darkest reaches of the galaxy, all it takes is for those with the courage to strike one match, one flame to remind the fearful that the Force is with them. Join us on Lorexu in Satravan City in our hour of need, to the Empire's fate.
As far as your master is concerned, there is no difficulty. It is passed. I am giving you a higher difficulty because you're broadcasting to the galaxy in general, so I didn't want you to think it's because it wasn't what you did. Was
Taking
that.
one from the GAR page.
So I'm giving you a higher difficulty.
It's a good move.
Everything. But keep in mind it'll be subsequent. And I will also, given that, you get a light side for free. I will not cause a flip. You automatically, light side point was done and all that. So your charm versus this. What you got?
3 successes, 3 advantages.
You're left with 2 successes.
Did you write that?
He did.
Did you write that before the game?
Oh yeah, I wrote it last week.
No, that's totally off the cuff. What are you talking about, dude? No, he wrote it before.
Do you remember when in Discord I said I'm scheming?
Yeah. That's pretty incredible.
What I had wanted to do was actually broadcast it across the planet, but when they shut that off,
The messages go out. Cries in the night, broadcast to the galaxy. Were they received? Were they heard? Was it an impact? Only time's going to tell. And time is unfortunately not a luxury at the moment. As you guys all gather together, as everybody comes back as one, reports are being made about what's going on in the city, talks about what happens, what's going to happen as far as the attempting to get people out and evacuating. Are they going to be able to transmit anything? Everything that's happening. The communication blackout is lifted, at least temporarily.
I don't like
On the
that.
screen, a man in black robes. But not someone apparently of the Sith. A bald-headed man with tribal tattoos on his face. A man who both Chiron and Marcus recently had the pleasure to meet. My young Padawan Galaxy speaks the truth. It is time. It's time for action across the board. Anakin. And he drops the name Anakin. You know the crimes you've committed against our order. You know the crimes you've committed against Naboo, and he sort of tilts his head at that. You know the crimes you committed against her. Our confrontation has been long overdue, and it's time you answer for those. It's time for you to confront the harm and damage you've caused. Anakin, it's time for our confrontation. Everything goes back out into darkness. Greg, while he was saying that, in your head, you hear that message was received and broadcast accordingly. May the Force be with you. I was like, what? What was that? Anakin? Anakin who? Anakin what? Well, who's Anakin? I don't.
I turn to Marcus and say, "Who was that?"
that is my master. You asked me how I was able to help Sarek. You've seen the things that I've experienced. You've seen some of the minor things that I've been able to do. He is a Jedi. And he's more than that, though. I'm surprised he was not prepared or maybe even willing to show himself. And maybe he was afraid. And maybe my message was more than a beacon for him to stand up and face his own fear. But what I do know is that my message was heard. And he is reaching out to the free peoples on our behalf, as well as all of the message that we've all individually delivered. If he's coming here, though, that means Vader's coming as well.
I will say you got the distinct impression he's probably still not coming there, but he's now in motion
Yeah.
against Anakin. That he's not staying on Hanagor anymore. As you guys are talking,
Well-
a paper is brought to Sarek, and he's reading sort of through a report. He goes, What do you mean? What do you mean he's gone?
It's gone.
Sir, I'm just saying apparently his whereabouts haven't been accounted for. Chaos Squad reported himself he wasn't at the party. It would make total sense that he would have been there. Why wasn't he there? The scene cuts from inside the room, or inside the war room, and we sort of fly through the galaxy some. We do a hyperspace jump cut, for lack of a better term. Where is my text channel? There's the shit. Where's my other channel? There's my channel. Okay, sorry. We jump cut. We settle on a planet as we push in combination of green and rocky terrain. Several natural spires form into a city. We travel through a pre-modern district, pushing in on a modern district. A Twi'lek stops in front of a nicer house and exits a land speeder. She's wearing a black uniform, lieutenant ranks on the arms. She walks in and opens the door. Imperial gray paint still on the wall. She walks over to a picture, picks it up and looks at it. She's pictured in this picture. So is the captain. So are the captain's parents, who some of you met recently. She touches the frame and caresses the picture and looks at it. I promise I'll get you back, Mom and Dad. I promise. She puts the picture down. She undoes the top button of her tunic and lets it breathe for a second. She exhales. She grabs a glass of blue milk, or grabs a glass and gets a bottle of blue milk and pours it. Has a sip. She turns and walks and opens the bedroom door. When she steps in, familiar figure in white armor. Two others in black armor stand behind him. He rises off the bed. She's alarmed and begins to reach for a blaster. Don't do that, Lieutenant. His armor, though, now is slightly different. Whereas before it was stock white, there are now streaks of gray on it. And his helmet is no longer that of a stormtrooper. It comes arcing down over his head. Has grays and black. Face completely covered. A visor slit where his eyes, with one apparently glowing red in the in the center. He takes it off, and Captain Wayland reveals himself, setting it down on the bed. You may not know me, Lieutenant Gita. Do you mind if I call you Gita? No, sir. Commander? Inquisitor. I find it highly dubious and suspect that two upstanding citizens of the Empire, deep ties to the diplomatic function, were abducted from this very domicile and taken away in the middle of the night. I know the woman responsible for her, and I believe you know too. I'll do anything to get them back. Well, that's good. I would expect nothing less. However, I don't believe she could accompany it without help. Without Someone working on the inside. And who better to aid her than her very own sister? I've been loyal to the Empire from the start. Your parents are rebel traitors, nothing more. Oh, they paused, oh, they that, but after their abduction, and after I began to look at it, certain things came to light. Remote transmissions from your father, feeding an agency secretly known as Fulcrum, providing them information, giving them notifications of movements, helping Ban Nakarthi and other traitorous rebels on this very planet operate. Your sister mysteriously defects to the rebellion, and I'm to suspect that you're a loyal trooper Imperial. It may be true, but it's a matter we'll need to look further into. At this point, the black troopers walk around and they close the door behind her. I'm going to ask you some questions, and he's about some rather pointed questions. They won't be pleasant ones. I expect an honest answer. And if you lie to me, and he holds up his hands, and red energy begins to crackle around them, I promise you there will be consequences. I don't need to ask where your sister is. I know where she is. Where are your parents? I don't know. I was hoping we could start on a better tone. With that, the camera pulls out of the room to the outside of the house. The house is darkened on the inside. Black is seen in the window. All of a sudden, red energy can be seen crackling on the inside, lighting it up in flashes and sparks. A woman screams. Her cries in the night. And that's where we're going to end today's session.